how would you guide a client to max out a tax bracket? Or what does that concept mean when you're visiting with somebody?
So when I am visiting with somebody, I like to find out what their goal is. It all depends on where you're at, what you've got for resources, and where you want to be. You know, do you want to leave everything to your kids, or do you want to travel around the world and, not worry about it? Do you expect your income to go up in the next few years? Do you expect it to go down? Do you want, how do you expect your lifestyle to change when you retire? Because it may be a time, especially after you hit 59 and a half, where you can start moving some of that pre-tax, IRA, pre-tax 401k money over without paying any penalty, because of an early withdrawal. And you can start moving that money over and getting it taxed now where you can maximize that bracket. Mm-hmm. And I know over the years, people have talked, and the tax brackets in the last 10 years have shifted just tremendously. We've had 15, we've had 20, we've had 36. I mean, it continues to change and fluctuate. But, I always like to say, if you have to pay tax, and we all know we have to pay tax because there's two things we can't avoid is death and taxes. What's the rate that you're comfortable with? Mm-hmm. So if you tell me that I am comfortable with 15% tax on the federal side, that's what I'm going to strive for. I'm going to look at, okay, this is what your income currently is. How much more money can I pull in out of your pre-tax dollars to maximize that bracket? Mm-hmm. For example, if you have married people that, they've been having, they're getting their retirement and they're taking the required distributions and they're in retirement age, and you run into, they're not even utilizing the full standard deduction. Mm-hmm. They're not pulling enough income to utilize the full standard deduction. I mean, and having a $26,000 standard deduction is huge. Mm-hmm. So they're not even paying any tax on that money that they're pulling in, and they really should be pulling more money in and getting it switched over to a pre-tax, even if they're paying tax at 2 or 3 or 4 or 5%, mm-hmm. because it's better to get that money pulled out, because if they don't pull it out, their kids are going to have to take it out, especially with IRAs over a 10-year period. And, the IRAs with that new 10-year provision, it's better than the 5. But, if you're 40 years old and you have a good paying job, you're in software development, you're in those types of things, you don't want that extra income. Mm-hmm. And it would be better if that's what your parents were going to leave you, if that money was already taxed. Exactly. And if you didn't have the requirement that you had to take it out over 10 years.
Yep. And we see it all the time where the kids or the legacy that you're leaving, they're getting it in their highest earning years versus mom and dad could have been paying income tax on it for the last 15 years of their lives at very minimal rates.